It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right, welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are live, at least I think we are. I'm going to have to check and make sure I've done this correctly, so please bear with me. If you are in the chat, please hop in there. Let me know if you're seeing me live right now. It has been a little bit of a while since I've done this. Let me just check on my phone really quickly here, and we'll get going as soon as I can confirm that we are actually in fact live. But as I said, I do believe we are, so hopefully that is the case. Let me just check over here, and if I start to see some comments popping up, then obviously I will know we're good to go. So please bear with me today. Obviously we're going to talk all about what's happening with the latest information on Charlie Kirk. Okay, it looks like we are live on YouTube at least, and the Rumble hasn't properly connected, but that's okay. We'll just stick with YouTube for now. And I do see some comments in the chat. You are live, loud and clear. Says, I like to eat. Blaine says, A-OK. Justin K says, yo, it's working. Thank you, guys. Excellent. Glad to be here. Let me just get to what some of the things we're going to be talking about today. And why isn't that allowing me to switch over here? Again, bear with me, guys. I'm trying to figure out why this isn't transitioning now. There we go. So, some of the latest news we have to talk about. We got Charlie Kirk, killing suspect, allegedly having an obsession with the conservative influencer. Obviously, I say allegedly because, you know, you can't really trust what the FBI is saying and the authorities are saying in the close aftermath of these types of events. But you know, as it stands now, they're claiming that this guy is the shooter and he had an obsession with the conservative influencer. The FBI has just come out saying that this kid apparently wrote a note saying, I have an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. Let's listen to it from the horse's mouth.
The written note, we believe, what did exist. And we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying, the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
Very, very strange. The note doesn't exist. It's been destroyed, yet they have found it. I believe they are referring to a written note. So when they say destroyed, I don't think they mean digitally. They probably mean cut up and teared up or what have you, and we're managed to piece it back together and figure out what he was saying. Again, this is all coming from the FBI, who we can't necessarily trust on these things. We're also learning that Charlie Kirk assassin, the suspect, lived with a transgender partner, not to mention the fact that the Discord that they were using, Discord, the company, is denying entirely that this is the case, while the left oscillates between celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder and insisting the suspect is a conservative. Today we learned that Robinson was living with a transgender partner who was in the process of transitioning from male to female, which of course is not a thing. But I mean, that comes as no shock, really, if you've been following this case and you know about the writings on the bullets, which you know, had like trans related memes on them. Again, allegedly. You know, this is again all coming from the authorities, this is the mainstream narrative. You got the White House planning security boosts on civil terrorism fears as the FBI investigates revolutionary leftist groups in the wake of the Kirk assassination. And this is very obviously a real cause for concern. This has been growing over the years. Here we see some sort of queer resistance series of lectures, which is supposed to take place on September 27th, agitate, educate, and organize. I've come across these, leftist LGBTQ LMNOP types who have been very, very violent with me and other people who I've covered this types of stuff with. It's been absolutely insane. We'll take a look at this exclusive FBI investigating social media accounts that appear to indicate foreknowledge of the Kirk assassination. You got stuff like this. This guy saying, Donald Trump, December 14th, it'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th. And he wrote that on September 3rd. This guy says September 10th will be a very interesting day in regards to this. And then, says, we effing did it just after things happened. We have this guy saying, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him, literally. And then he says, let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. And now it has been confirmed. All these things did come out before all of that. And this one is probably one of the more chilling ones, a TikTok video of someone saying, Charles James Kirk, Mr. College Dropout, does not know what's coming tomorrow. Be ready. This isn't a threat. It's a promise. So you got to ask yourself where all this is stemming from. Again, the FBI is currently looking into it. Another thing, there was a Toronto elementary school teacher who has been relieved of their duties after showing the students a video of the Charlie Kirk killing. And these are grade 5 and 6 kids who were shown video of it in response to their question about the U.S. conservative activist assassination. Guys, if you've seen the up-close footage, it indeed is pretty graphic. And we could talk about all of this. I'm going to be going through the chat, taking your questions, obviously. But I also wanted to address a video that I put out 2 days ago, day before yesterday, titled, Good News, Those Who Celebrated the Death of Charlie Kirk Are Now Suffering the Consequences. And I've been absolutely slammed in the comments section for people who are claiming that I'm not for free speech for saying this, and that I'm somehow advocating for cancel culture, when that is absolutely not the case whatsoever. And in fact, I will double down on the fact that free will means your choices have consequences. And we'll talk about that and much, much more in this video as I go through all this latest breaking news live with you, and I'll take your comments as well, and questions. Before we get into all that, guys, I'd ask that you do check me out here at this Give, Send, Go campaign, where you can make a contribution to help save and protect Press for Truth. In case you haven't seen this, I'll briefly read it. If you didn't know, I started PFT in 2006. That's 19 years now of doing Press for Truth, and it has led to many attacks, whether that be in real life, while being surrounded by mobs like Antifa. That has happened countless times where they've attacked me, physically attacked me, surrounded me. BLM, I mean, did you guys see when I was surrounded by a mob of like 120 people, and then a group of like 12 cops had to form a circle around me, and then they threw a bottle that hit me right in the head, and then the police ended up arresting me for my protection? Just this, creating a ruse to try to safely get me out of there. There was the week before that where I was surrounded and attacked by a group of vile feminists who were claiming that I was some sort of white supremacist Nazi. There was the climate activists who surrounded me when I was at a climate change rally, and I had about a dozen of them, again, forming a circle around me, trying to disrupt my live stream. And of course, the LGBTQ community. This has happened multiple times with them, just physically attacking me just for, reporting at their events. Or whether it be from institutions who shadow ban me and block me and cancel me because I just simply go against the status quo and I'm interested in pressing for truth. You guys can go here to read the rest of it, but if you would like to help grow PFT into something that can truly be a thorn in the side of the powers that ought not be, as I often say, please consider making a contribution, because I simply cannot do this work without you guys. Together we can continue to smash that pyramid of control one brick at a time, and we can awaken new hearts and new minds that's going to help us build a better world for us all. So again, thank you so much to everybody who has contributed. You can contribute Bitcoin if you're so inclined by scanning that code there. And if you guys don't want to use Give, Send, Go, you can go to my pressfortruth.ca/donate page, where you can do PayPal, you can do, Bitcoin. You could sign up here for a monthly reoccurring contribution, or here at Subscribestar. You can send an e-transfer to Dan@pressfortruth.ca, or you could send stuff to my P.O. box, guys. Again, links for all of this are located in the description below. Thank you to everyone who takes a moment today to support my efforts here at Press for Truth. All right, I don't know if you've seen all the massive vigils that are happening for Charlie Kirk all over the place, including in Canada. This was in Calgary, where thousands of Calgarians, I guess you would call them, were singing the American national anthem at a memorial for Charlie Kirk. There was a few other ones where they impromptu kind of jumped into the singing of Amazing Grace. There was this concert, I think somewhere in the U.S., where everybody in a vigil to Charlie held up their phones, just trying to kind of light up the sky. It's been pretty impressive to see the amount of influence that this guy has had on society, and the fact that it's like going at 100 times the rate at which it was before he was killed, goes to say a lot. And now here, I'm sure you guys have probably already seen this. There's a whole bunch of vile leftists who are doing stuff like this. This kid trashing a Charlie Kirk memorial. Like, who does this? Who are these people? You see some people kind of throwing him down to the ground there. Kid ends up getting arrested for, causing this disturbance. Here you can see him being arrested by the police. And look at this. When they turn him around, he's wearing the t-shirt of the alleged shooter. Again, I will continue to say this is the alleged shooter, because we're still, unraveling and unpacking all of this, looking at all sides of the story here, not just obviously the mainstream narrative, but what everybody is saying online. But what a crazy piece of filth this guy is, sitting here wearing the alleged shooter's t-shirt as he destroys a Charlie Kirk memorial. Again, I'm going to go to the chat at some point in this stream, and we'll get your questions in now, get your comments in now. I don't know if you saw this. That guy Bob Villain recently said some pretty disgusting things at a concert. Listen to this. He's had his visa revoked for it.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of shit of a human being. The pronouns was, were.
Pronouns was, were.
Because if you chat shit, you will get banned. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of shit.
What a clown this guy is. Well, apparently the State Department has revoked his visa following this sickening show where he mocked Charlie Kirk on stage. Again, pronouns was, were. If you talk blank, you're going to get banged. Rest in piss, Charlie Kirk, you piece of blank. So here's some of the mainstream narrative take on the situation in regards to this note that was allegedly written, where he claimed he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and that he was going to do it, says the FBI director. 22-year-old suspect arrested for killing Charlie Kirk had a text message exchange in which he claimed an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk. Well, it's interesting that they would say it's a text message. I'm just seeing this now, to be honest, because there is a longer clip of the FBI director saying that it was written. What would be on a piece of paper, not on a text. But at any rate, he was going to do it because of his hatred for Charlie and what he stood for, according to the FBI. He was arrested last week after, well, we all know, what happened. Similar to what was found in the text message exchange. Here we go. A note written by the suspect before Kirk's murder said that he had a chance to take out Kirk and that he would take that opportunity. It's interesting. Now they're saying a written note that he would take out Kirk. Before being destroyed, Patel said there was evidence that the note existed in the suspect's apartment. We found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what the note says because of our aggressive interview. They have DNA now, apparently linking the suspect to the scene at the Utah University. Patel said he walked the entire crime scene at Utah University in the early evening of September 11th, following the footsteps of the suspect. He said there was DNA evidence collected, including from a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop and a towel found in the wooded area where the weapon, a rifle, allegedly belonging to the suspect, was discovered. And that's bizarre again, because, if you look at the footage of him climbing off the roof, it certainly doesn't look like he has a rifle with him. And if he did disassemble it in order to, carry it a little more easily, which seems like what they're alluding to with the screwdriver, then why would he reassemble it? When the rifle was found fully intact in the woods. So much of this stuff just clearly doesn't add up, which again begs the question: are we dealing with an actual leftist lunatic here, or is this a patsy? Is this the work of the deep state and it's being blamed on this kid? I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody. We also found out that Charlie Kirk's killer was in a relationship with a transgender woman, aka a man, according to the Utah governor, Spencer Cox, who confirmed that Robinson's roommate was also his boyfriend, who is transitioning from male to female. That person has been very cooperative with authorities, he said. He said the person was shocked to learn about Robinson's alleged involvement in the killing and did not have any knowledge of it occurring. I certainly find that hard to believe, again, if any of this is even real, but I would find it hard to believe that his boyfriend, who's transitioning, and roommate didn't know anything about this. Obviously he's going to claim to be shocked. Again, it remains to be seen where the FBI decides to go with that. Cox said more information about evidence collected would be available on Tuesday, when charges were expected to be laid. Meanwhile, he said Robinson has not been cooperating with the authorities so far. Yeah, that again begs more questions. Is he on the inside claiming to be a patsy, claiming to have nothing to do with this, not know what the heck's going on? Or again, is he a leftist lunatic? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We're gonna get to that. Let me make sure everything is still good, but I'm sure we are. But yeah, keep me posted on your thoughts on all of this, because I'm gonna get to the chat soon enough. Suspect was normal until his radicalization. Again, this is the mainstream narrative that is being pumped around. Utah governor described Robinson as a very young, normal young man, very smart young man who attended his alma mater of Utah State University for a short amount of time. He dropped out after less than one semester. His radicalization, which the governor said occurred quickly, appeared to happen after he dropped out and moved back to a southern part of Utah. You guys probably already seen other videos claiming that the kid was just like a online junkie, like a Reddit kid, where obviously a lot of people on Reddit are crazy leftards. Excuse my language, but it is what it is. And so that would add, credibility to this concept that this kid was, radicalized. But again, this is all alleged that we're covering here today. I'm just bringing to you the latest breaking news. Charlie Kirk's assassin suspect lived with his transgender partner, and Discord denies use of their app in this whole situation. That's an interesting development. We see here on Friday, federal and state authorities revealed in a press conference that a roommate, in quotes, cooperating with their investigation, told them about communications from a contact named Tyler, which described bullet casings similar to those found at the scene of the murder, along with the need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point. Again, adding to the idea that there's more people involved here than just one if there's a rifle drop point. The Daily Mail has identified the roommate as Lance Twiggs, who showed police texts from Robinson. And this is the male to female transitioner who appears to be seen in some sort of furry costume, which, as they say, were some of what was inscribed on the casings of the bullets, referencing, various furry memes. So that would, add credibility to that side of the story. It is funny how you have all these people on the left claiming that this kid was conservative or a Republican who was concerned that Charlie was not conservative enough. If you can believe that, well, that was before information came out about his transgender partner. Because, as we see here, there is a Trans-Tifa problem. You had the Club Q nightclub Colorado shooting that was by this guy, Anderson Lee Aldrich, who identified as non-binary. He had they, them pronouns. There was obviously the Covenant School shooting by Audrey Hale. She was transgender. She used he, him pronouns, identifying as male. Perry High School by Dylan Butler, allegedly gender fluid, using they, he, they pronouns, posting LGBTQ plus symbolism. Lakewood Church, Houston, Texas shooter, allegedly transgender, used a male alias but identified as female. It goes on and on. The Annunciation Catholic School shooting in Minneapolis. Robin Westman, obviously transgender, she, her pronouns, name change from Robert to Robin. And it really goes on and on. There is a real legitimate problem with these absolute psychos who are losing the debate, so to speak. They know they're on the wrong side of history. They know their whole idea is not based on reality, science, biology, anything. So what do they resort to? Violence. And I've seen it in my own personal experience of covering these things, being surrounded by these psychos and attacked by them. It looks like that's why the White House is planning the security boost on civil terrorism fears as the FBI investigates revolutionary leftist groups in this Kirk assassination. We see here, there's all this kill list risks, overnight federal response, organized conspiracy in Kirk's assassination. And I think my wife is just getting home a little early from work. Is that you? Or is there somebody coming into the house? Okay, good. That's my wife. I'm live right now, just to let you know.
I know, I'm trying to be quiet.
But here, guys, I wanted to address this before I get to your comments and questions. Good news, those who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk are now suffering the consequences. And as I said earlier, there's a lot of people who are trying to make the claim that because I made that video, I'm somehow not in favor of actual free speech, because you're supposed to believe in the free speech for even those who you despise and people who say things that you find to be utterly horrific, and that I'm somehow for cancel culture because I thought, it's a good thing that these people were being fired by their employers for saying these disgusting things. And the fact of the matter is, I am an advocate for free speech. I believe 100% in these people's rights to be able to say those things. Again, no matter how despicable or insensitive any of that was, they should absolutely have the right to say those things. But the fact of the matter of life is that, as with all choices that we make in life, choices come with consequences. And I'm not saying they should come with consequences, I'm just saying they do come with consequences. And if you exercise your free speech, again, that everybody should have, including them, but you exercise that in such a poor way, you got to expect that your poor choices are going to lead to bad consequences. And in this case, some of these employers discovering that their employees were saying these things obviously were disgusted by it, obviously don't want to associate with anybody who's going to, potentially bring down the credibility of their company. So these people are now suffering the consequences of the distasteful free speech that they engaged in. So that's just a fact of life. You want to engage in your free speech in a way that we all agree they should have a right to do. I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to say these things, or that, they should be canceled for saying these things. It's just a fact of matter of life, though. Choices come with consequences. If you make some bad choices, you might suffer some bad consequences. Again, I'm not saying that's what should happen. That's just what does happen sometimes. And in this case, it was a whole bunch of people discovering that their employees were saying these vile, disgusting, insensitive things, and it led to them being fired. So that's why I ended up putting out this video here. Free will means that your choices have consequences. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. I guess after the live stream is over, I'll put a link to it in the description. So maybe you could chime in on the chat there. Or if you have any questions about that, we're going to address all of your questions and concerns now. But, Charlie Kirk did say that his mission and his legacy that he would like to see is that I want to be remembered for my courage for my faith, he said. And, I think that's an awesome thing that is growing tremendously right now, is that a lot of people, I don't know if you've seen online, are now starting to go to church, starting to read their Bible more, starting to try to just become a better Christian just after being inspired by this guy. And I think that's fantastic. That's something that inspires me as well. So let me get to some of your questions and comments. Let me quickly try to pull up the chat here and scroll all the way back. There's a lot, it looks like. And we'll get through that. Zip Ties, $20 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Keep up the good work, Dan. I still remember shaking your hand on the streets in Ottawa. Awesome. Love meeting people who follow my work in real life. Happens a lot more these days. And I'm always, encouraged to meet people who have, been supporting my work for many, many years. So yeah, thank you so much for that. By the way, guys, this whole monetization on YouTube thing, if you don't know, I was terminated by this platform. If you're watching this on YouTube, they only recently gave this channel back to me. So I don't even know if this money is even going to make its way to me. We'll see, and I'll update you on that if it does. But a better way to contribute is to go to pressfortruth.ca/donate. There you could do e-transfers. You could send stuff to my P.O. box. You can, use PayPal. There's all sorts of options there. But again, thank you so much, Zip Ties, for that. Let me see if I can show you guys what I'm looking at instead of just staring at me the whole time. Yeah, so here we go. This is the chat. We're just scrolling through here. What topic? Fed Patsy says beer breaky. Well, yeah, I mean that is a very good topic of discussion. Was this guy actually a leftist lunatic, or is he a patsy? Was this an operation by the deep state? And obviously there's a lot of reasons why one must consider that this could be an operation by the deep state. Charlie Kirk was getting huge. He was having a massive amount of influence on society. And obviously that can quickly become a thorn in the side of the powers that ought not be. So it obviously makes a lot of sense on why someone like them would want to take this guy out, and why they would want to push this narrative of the transgender roommate and, the leftist lunatic to drum up a culture war. Because as you and I'm sure you guys are already well aware, they operate through their modus operandi of order out of chaos, right? So if they can generate enough chaos, they can get the order out of it. So again, yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. What do you think about Charlie Kirk and that he might have been set up to fake it, but was betrayed, and the cell phone gun video that lines up with the bullet trajectory? I have looked at all sides of this. I've heavily looked at all of the footage, and my honest, humble opinion, 100%, I do not believe that this was a fake death. I mean, like, to try to pull something off like that in front of thousands and thousands of people who were very close. If you look at the footage, like, everybody's standing right there. Very, very difficult thing to do. And I really absolutely do not think that is the case. But thank you for the question. Obviously, this is the stuff that has to be addressed because it's basically going viral everywhere online. I'm seeing all sorts of theories about where he could be today. And, I think that, God rest his soul, he most certainly is dead. Riley Rage says, thank you for all you do. Thank you very much. Won't even release the Epstein files, but now there's a note? Yeah, good point. I mean, this obviously is serving as a little bit of a distraction to everything that was in the news leading up to this event. The Epstein files. I said before Trump became president that they are never going to release the Epstein files. This is like something they're going to hang over our heads for a very, very long time. And, Trump got in to a large extent on him promising to release all this stuff. And look at him now, completely 180 backtracked on that. People are going to claim he's playing like 4D chess, but I think that is pretty crazy as well. Discord is denying messaging was ever on their site. Also, the alleged shooter's father is not a 27-year veteran. I think a link I posted shows bent knees, says no rifle, even if broken down in jumper's pants. Yeah, I was looking at that footage as well. He jumps off the roof, and it looks like whatever he's holding in his hands is more like a sweater. Like, there's no way there's a long rifle in his possession or down his pants or anything like that when he's jumping off the roof. That's pretty clear from the footage. So, again, begs a lot of questions. Saw a video claiming that the feds done the screwdriver with DNA on the roof. I mean, again, we cannot take the word from the FBI, certainly, on any of this, because they've already lost credibility multiple times. There's so many times that we find out later, after the fact, that the feds were involved somehow. Like, again, we're still very early in all of this, and it often doesn't come out until later that we find out, oh, there was an informant, or there was some sort of connection to the guy the whole time who happened to be connected with the FBI, and, that's why they were radicalized. I mean, we've seen that here in Canada a whole bunch of times. There was the famous Canada Day bombing with... and I think his name was Nuttall and Cordery, this couple who was coerced by undercover CSIS agents who were trying to get them to do everything they could to bomb this place and funding them, encouraging them to do it, all the way until the point where they just kind of backed down. And then a judge agreed, that this was entrapment. And there was the case of the Toronto 18, for example. There was literally a undercover CSIS informant who was essentially facilitating the entire thing. And this stuff goes on and on and on. There's the Via Rail bombing. I remember, some of you may recall, I was at the press conference for that, and I was asking their lawyer, did he have contact with the FBI or any other member of the intelligence communities? And at the time, they were just like, we have no information about that. But again, time and time again, it turns out that these people were either being followed and tracked and traced by the criminal elements within the intelligence communities, or that they were completely set up 100% by them to either take the fall as a patsy or to be, radicalized to actually pull the trigger. Either way, a lot of the times it's actually coming at the hands of the intelligence communities, which would, again, add more credence to the idea that this is a deep state operation, which was, planned to take out Charlie Kirk and doing it in that way. You're a hero, Dan says, just in case. I don't know about that, but thank you for saying so. Rob Hellfire says, get security, Dan. It's getting very dangerous to talk truth. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. As I said, like, there's been so many instances of where I have been attacked, and it would be handy to have bodyguards. That's why I did say in this Give, Send, Go campaign, with your help, I can better protect myself with bodyguards while covering events. And also by building a team who can help me reach more people than ever before. So yeah, if you want to contribute to my efforts to be able to do things a little more safely, that's why I titled this Help Save and Protect Press for Truth. Yeah, go to the Give, Send, Go campaign if you want to make a contribution for that. But yeah, thank you so much for your concerns, because yeah, it is getting crazy out there. Like, I've taken multiple bottles to the head, actually. That wasn't only on one occasion. Being surrounded by psychos and got attacked many times. Yeah, Dan, you need security at this point, says Brian. I agree, and I've had a lot of security, but not necessarily paid bodyguards, but just people who step up to the plate and see that I'm posting on Facebook or Twitter that I'm going to cover a particular event tomorrow, and they're like, hey, do you need protection? Do you want some help? In fact, at the BLM rally, I was not only surrounded by a dozen cops, but I was surrounded by about 4 or 5 guys who are just like you, who just stepped up to the plate and decided to offer me their protection. A couple of them got arrested with me. We went to the police station in a paddy wagon together. These guys, like, did that for my safety and my protection. So I'm forever thankful and grateful to those guys who have done that, and anybody else who tries to help me do these things. Let's see. Calgary? Why didn't I hear about this before? I live in Calgary. Yeah, I know. I just found out that there was a vigil held last night in Maple Ridge. I'm not that far from Maple Ridge. I kind of wish I heard about that as well. I would have went to it, because apparently a bunch of protesters showed up who had a problem with the fact that there was a Charlie Kirk vigil happening in Maple Ridge. And I would have loved to have gone and interviewed those protesters about, hey, what's your problem with, memorializing, having a memorial for Charlie Kirk. But I'm going to keep my eyes on that. Guys, if you hear of any other protests or vigils or anything happening in British Columbia, anywhere in BC, try to let me know. You can reach out to dan@pressfortruth.ca or try to reach me on social media, and I'll do my best to go there and cover it. Maybe even live stream it like we're doing here today. Let's see. Oh yeah, let me switch the camera back so you can see what I'm doing. I don't know. France is having a protest, and it's fire, trash, smoke, etc. Chaos seems to be headed for another Emperor Napoleon. I have seen a little bit of that. I don't know if you saw the massive rally in England, where, mainstream media outlets are claiming there are only like maybe 100,000, 50,000, 150,000, when really it looked like, 1 million or more. But that's what they always do, is, make the numbers way lower than they actually are. FBI says they have DNA evidence putting the alleged shooter at the shooting location. Yeah, this is some of the stuff we looked at earlier. If you missed any of that, go back in the stream. We were looking at this. The suspect had allegedly been obsessed with the conservative influencer Kirk. You have the FBI director claiming here that they've destroyed a note. Well, they found a destroyed note, I should say, that said, quote, "I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it," the suspect said. Kash Patel revealed during an appearance on Fox. The note was written before the shooting. It was the suspect's partner's home. We've since learned the note, even though it was destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed that the note said we confirmed what it said because of our aggressive interview posture. And we also covered that in this article from the National Post. What do we know about his alleged shooter's motives? Again, this is a lot of the mainstream narrative that we're covering today, like the idea that he had a transgender partner who he was living with. And I think what was the comment again? Oh yeah, the DNA evidence. Where was that? I think that was in this article, or was it this one? Well, we covered that a little bit earlier about that. And then we also talked about all these accounts that seem to either have foreknowledge or were, just saying, knowing he's coming on September 10th, just hoping that he would be killed. But I mean, it's pretty interesting when some of them are saying like, look, let's just wait and see. Something big is going to happen tomorrow. So all of these types of people are being investigated. Like this guy, Charles James Kirk, or girl, I'm not sure, doesn't know what's coming tomorrow. Be ready. This isn't a threat. It's a promise. And again, if you missed it from earlier, there was a Toronto elementary school teacher who has since been fired or relieved of their duties, whatever that means, following the fact that they showed grade 5 and 6 students footage of the shooting. Like, that is pretty wild. Videos circulating wildly on social media show Charlie Kirk being shot in the neck with blood spurting from the wound as he begins to collapse. The school teacher decided to show their grade 5 and 6 students footage of the assassination. So they've since been relieved of all their duties because, yeah, that was a pretty big lapse in judgment right there, to say the least. Let's see. So is this just hate speech? Or I'm going to like kind of scroll through and look for questions, mostly, guys. So if you do have some, make sure you include question marks so we get them all. The suspect is another patsy, says Angel Q. Again, that's a very real possibility. It's, like, again, all that kind of stuff often comes out much later after the fact. But if you look at some of my previous videos, who really killed Charlie Kirk, and then a follow-up video that I did talking about the suspect, Tyler Robinson, and really outlining both sides of the idea here. The mainstream narrative that he's a lunatic leftist, had an issue with the transgender stuff that Kirk was talking about and decided to take matters into his own hands, or deep state operative, are either radicalized by the deep state and controlled by them, or just a complete patsy who's sitting in jail now going, what the heck's going on? But I looked at all of that in that video. So if you missed any of this, guys, be sure to go check it out. Yeah, another Lee Harvey Oswald, says Darcy. Who wants to trust governments after 5 years of needless lockdowns and war measures acts? Yeah, exactly. Like, we simply cannot take the word from the FBI on this, obviously. And, we have to question the mainstream narrative, absolutely, obviously. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. The pieces never fit, Dan. You should know that. There's always 1,000 unsolved and unknown things. Yeah, I'm pretty aware. There is a lot. Imagine that, Occam's razor. Good point. You have to look at what is the, most kind of reasonable and logical, like, realistic outcome a lot of the times, and use your critical thinking skills. I've seen so much nonsense, ridiculous stuff being spread all over the internet in regards to this stuff that it's almost infuriating. But again, we can talk about all of this stuff right here, right now. The government is involved, clearly making this difficult. Well, it is interesting. You got to consider the idea that things sure are backfiring right now, potentially. I mean, as far as I understand it, there have now been 30,000 new applications for Turning Point chapters to open up all over the world. So if their plan here was to silence this guy and shut him up, like, is it backfiring? Because everything is absolutely exploding right now. And as I said, it's not just that. It's also, part of his legacy. as we see here. He wanted to be remembered for having courage for his faith. And now there's many more people who are going to church, who are reading their Bible, who are reconnecting with their Creator, because that's what Charlie said he wanted to be remembered for his legacy. So, again, is this, backfiring in a major way? Rebecca with a $1.99 USD super chat. Thank you so much. Coming soon, surrounded by yellow stars. I appreciate the contribution. Again, I don't know how monetization is working on YouTube right now, and if I'm ever actually going to see this money. So I do appreciate the tip. But again, a better way to do it is to go to pressfortruth.ca/donate. Maybe as soon as this stream is over, if anybody wants to contribute, that's the best way to do it. Lunatics are on both sides, not just the left. Yes, obviously that is the case. In fact, that's how we have a culture war brewing in the first place. There are problems on this on all sides of the spectrum. It's not necessarily completely localized to the left. There's a lot of people on the right who are falling into the trap as well. I recently got into a huge debate on Twitter with a guy who's pretty right-leaning about responding to violence with more violence and whether or not there's ever a time for that. I don't think so. I think violence begets violence. But this person was of the opinion that, no, the only way to conquer, to stop the violence is to conquer the other side 100%. And I think that's what they want. That's what the deep states want. Is to be able to have that order out of chaos scenario where they can clamp down on everybody on both sides with more laws, more bills, more pieces of legislation that are going to strip us away of our rights because we're all fighting with each other. So I kind of think that's part of the plan. Just went through most of the details of the suspect is fishy. Yeah, beyond fishy. There are so many more questions than answers as we continue to go through all this stuff. Your language is perfectly fine, Dan. I can't remember what I said. Oh yeah, referring to some of those on the left and the mental issues they may have. Prayers from Northern BC, from Ron. Thank you. For whoever those prayers are geared towards, thank you. They should have had a live interview with him. Where's Barbara Walters when we need the truth? Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get that from her. She's been complicit in the cover-up of all the pedophilia in Hollywood situation, that's for sure. And you'll notice, guys, I'm not afraid to say these things on my live stream here on YouTube. And again, that shows why you really need to subscribe to me on some other platforms, because there is a very real possibility that they will terminate this channel again. They've done it before, twice before, as a matter of fact, and then gave it back, and then terminated it, and then gave it back. So there's a pretty good chance this channel might get terminated again someday. So please subscribe to me if you're not already on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. Those are the top three, but I'm also on Hive and Band and Bastion and even X. If you want to follow me on X, formerly Twitter, I am lately uploading full length my videos there a little more lately, because it's not being as censored there as it is on other platforms. So I'll continue to do it for as long as I can until I get canned there as well. My Press for Truth account has been suspended, and I still haven't gotten that returned. So that remains to be seen. Charlie knew the risks. He wore a bulletproof vest and had threats to his life. Yep, I covered that in my most recent video, which is this one. Free will means your choices have consequences. And if I'm mistaken and it wasn't that one, it was this one. Suspect Tyler Robinson has been arrested for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But who is he? Again, if you guys haven't seen these ones, check it out. Or this one, who really killed Charlie Kirk? A deep dive with Press for Truth. And then there was this one, When Discourse Ends, Violence Begins. And that was my just kind of raw, immediate reaction that I just wanted to get on the day of hearing about this stuff. So if you haven't seen that, go check it all out. And it's interesting that this is kind of getting swept under the rug as well. Obviously, the horrific footage of this young Ukrainian refugee being stabbed in the neck, by this guy on the train, where he says, "I got that white girl, I got that white girl," and then he ended up suggesting that it was the government who put materials inside his body that made him do it, that controlled him. He says they lashed out at her, as you can see in this video I updated you with. That's not me. They lashed out on her. So very, very interesting. I get into all that in those videos, so if you've missed those, make sure you go check those ones out as well. You've gone dumb. Okay. Eric QN, feel free to elaborate on that, and we'll talk about it. The drugs they're on, says Rob, makes them completely psychotic. Yep, that's something I brought up as well. The use of SSRIs, antidepressants, in these mass shooters is like 99 out of 100. Like almost every single time we find out that these guys were on antidepressant drugs, which seem to do the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do. They make people even more depressed. They give them suicidal thoughts. And that's something that absolutely has to be looked at. It's pretty insane. Eric Q says, "You're unsubbed, bro." All right, well, take care. So long. Nice knowing you. It's unfortunate that you take that position without having a rational discussion with me about whatever issues you have, but we can do that. That's what we're doing today. Here's a question. Was Charlie Kirk a part of the op but betrayed? Set him up to fake it, then actually killed him so it looks fake but he's dead? That's an interesting theory that I've never heard, but I don't think, to be honest, that he's in on anything, because there would have to be a great, he'd have to be a pretty good actor to be able to pull that one off, and I do think he most certainly is dead, as I've said in the beginning of this live stream. For me, and I've looked at all the different angles of it, the so-called, baseball hand signals from behind, the so-called muzzle flash, and the idea that his bodyguards were like the same people in the intelligence communities who were involved with the Trump shooting. I've looked very closely at all of this, and haven't addressed it in any videos because I could make a whole lengthy video just debunking all the nonsense, but I don't know. It seems a little counterproductive. It's just not what I want to engage in. I would rather show you the stuff that I've discovered and continue to focus on putting that out there. Let's see. I'm going to look for, did you give in? Don't know what you mean by that, but no, I haven't given in. Again, we're just going to look for some more questions before we wrap this one up. Hey, Dan, did he get vaxxed? I have no idea about that one. Really not sure, although I highly, highly doubt it. I recently saw a video of Charlie Kirk going to a town hall, I think it was early 2021, just totally trashing them for forcing masks on kids when he says there's absolutely no proof that any of this is affecting children, and you're just violating their rights by forcing them in masks. So yeah. In Canada, they never mentioned the trans issue, but in the US, they do mention it for Kirk. Yeah, Canadian media absolutely is trash on this. I don't know if you saw, I think it was the CBC, I believe. I covered it in my recent video. This one. No, where'd it go? Anyways, the latest video, this one here, I showed how a CBC reporter claimed that Charlie Kirk said he wants queer people exterminated. It was like CBC didn't even have a problem with the fact that this lady said that. So yeah, their coverage has been certainly pretty bad. Okay, again, there's a lot of comments. I appreciate everybody showing their support, but we're going to quickly kind of get through this to look for more questions. Dan, the cell phone gun, the tampering with the evidence after the cameras on stage, and was he a part of the op but betrayed? Again, sounds like the same question you had before. I don't think he was a part of any black op operation, but then, was betrayed and, surprisingly shot in real life. The tampering of the evidence, I have seen footage of somebody going up behind I guess you could call it the pavilion, like the tent that he was under, appearing to take something down. I don't know what he took down. If it was a camera, that has to be looked at, obviously. And why weren't the police there securing it? Because obviously it's a crime scene at that point. So, great question. What was going on with that? Again, I think a lot of this stuff remains to be seen, that's for sure. COVID boosters for the kids at school. School boards rolled out 3 vaccines just this month. No mention of the Gaza Holocaust, says Bob. That's not exactly what we're talking about today, but anytime you're curious if I've talked about a particular thing or not, I would suggest you go to my channel and you use the search feature, like what you'll see up here. Let's just type in the word Gaza and do a search, and oh, look at that, whole bunch of videos. Israel New, for example, that one there, Operation Jericho Wall document details Hamas attack over 1 year in advance. Or this one, they knew of the attack was coming and they knew that they would retaliate. What you need to know. There's pages and pages of stuff that I've covered on this topic. So again, if you're ever curious about something that I may or may not have ever covered, just go use the search feature on my website. Type in a keyword and you'll find it there. Okay. Let's see. Some places are connecting him to the right. Is he? People are saying right crimes are being hidden. Again, yeah, we're hearing that his family is all kind of Trump-supporting gun rights advocates, right, wing conservatives, but just because your parents and family are something like that doesn't necessarily mean you are going to be too. I mean, this is just a young guy. Young people often follow the direct opposite ideology of their parents. So again, it's tough to say, but that's what the left certainly wants everyone to believe, is that this guy was a conservative who just believed that Kirk wasn't conservative enough. And then you have the other side of the argument that he had this transgender boyfriend who's transitioning to a female, which would add to the idea that he's a leftist lunatic who wanted to take revenge for all the stuff that Charlie has said against them. Again, both sides are, demand, our respect to looking into all of this, because, as we said, we can't take the word from the FBI, that's for darn sure. We can't just assume that the mainstream narrative is correct, but we can't take it from the lefties, who are claiming that he's on the right either. So, but yeah, thanks for the question. I see another question mark, but it's directed at some other commenter. Who were the hand signal guys behind Charlie? Well, I did see that the family and friends have said that they know exactly who these guys are. They're close allies of the family. They've, the guy with the white hat, for example, apparently loves Charlie dearly. He's been involved for like a decade with what they've been doing and has publicly come out saying that he's seen all the conspiracies and he's like absolutely the opposite of what everybody says. Now, you can't take his word for it, obviously, but the family themselves and the friends of Charlie have come to his defense. I don't know if you've seen that. Maybe we could try to find it, but I have seen that. They came to his defense saying, no, this guy is a close friend and friend of the family here. We've known him for many, many years. He is not involved in this stuff. And really, the guy touched his hat. Like, you know, I've seen people manipulate that footage because they play it forward and backward and forward again. So it makes it look like he's touching his hat, touching his ear, touching his hat, doing a whole bunch of baseball signals. But a lot of that is being manipulated. You know, when you're looking into this stuff, you have to look at credible sources and people who have journalistic integrity rather than just watching one TikTok video and being like, oh, wow, look at that. And I'm just seeing far too much of that online, to be honest. All right, let's see. Nobody died, says Matt Jones. It was a dark occult ritual, the killing of a king. It's theater, stagecraft, magicians literally to invoke emotions on and symbolism. Well, one thing is for sure, this is invoking a great deal of emotions in people. This is dividing a lot of people, even on the right against the right, you know, like what I saw with my recent coverage in this one. Free will means that your choices have consequences. And everybody's like, Dan, you're turning on your own kind, going against free speech, you know, not advocating for the speech of those who you despise. And again, I've had to reiterate over and over and over again, no, I fully support people's rights to say those things, but choices come with consequences. But that's just an example of the divide that's happening within the right. And then there's the divide that's happening within the left. And then there's the idea of both sides are clashing even more towards this all-out culture war, which I would suggest is the ultimate endgame of the global elite, the deep state, if they are involved, is to cause so much pain and suffering of separation and clashes between the two that global unity is going to be the end-all and be-all, and we all have to just get along, so let's unite into a one-world society, a one-world religion, a one-world government, a one-world banking system, a one-world police to enforce all of this stuff on the people who they want to unite. So again, I think that's a big part of the end game agenda. All right. Where are the 9/11 files? Yeah, another good question. Stuff that, you know, Trump promised on the campaign trail. Another reason why you can't trust these, you know, politicians. I've been exposing Trump since day one, saying that this guy is, you know, a reality star TV actor who simply cannot be trusted. And to the extent of which he knows that he's being a puppet, being used by the deep state, remains to be seen. But at this stage in the game, guys, you do not become president of the United States unless they are allowing you to occupy that position. Again, whether he is in on it or knows the extent to which he's being used, we could debate that all day. But one thing I'm sure of is you do not get to that position of power without them giving you the green light and the okay to do so. Let's see. Hey, Dan, have you and Viva ever linked up? He was at the trucker rally where I was at as well, and he you know, mentioned we almost ran into each other. We've talked a lot to each other online. In fact, he requested to interview me once because of my coverage of that father of the transgender girl who he spoke out about it, and then he got a gag order, and then he went to court, and then he went to prison, and I covered that whole story. And Viva asked me for an interview, and I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then other breaking news happened, and he got busy, and we never ended up doing the interview. So no, I haven't actually ever interviewed him. He hasn't ever interviewed me, but we interact a lot with each other on Twitter in particular. And I do like his stuff. He's, man, oh man, does he ever bang out a lot of content. That guy is just like constantly go, go, go. But yeah, I like his stuff, and I wouldn't mind hooking up and doing some more with him. What? Via rail? Says John 5. Yeah. let's go to the search feature and type in via rail. Again, guys, anytime you're curious about something that I've covered or not, go check it out. Here's what you're not being told about the new trial for the Via Rail foiled terror plot, in quotes. Here, this one, Via Rail terror plot exposed. This is something I put out in 2015. The National Post is contributing to the Canadian fear state today by releasing this editorial. Accused Via Rail terrorist worried plot wasn't going to be deadly enough to justify their work. And in here, I explain why this was an operation carried out by the RCMP. Here's another one right down here. Canadian terror plot exposed as RCMP setup. So yeah, again, guys, if you're ever curious about all of this stuff, just go to my website and use the search feature, and then you can get into all this other videos, because I've been making videos since 2006 on YouTube in particular. So there's a lot of coverage over the years. If you guys are kind of new subscribers to the channel, it's probably all sorts of stuff that you could be catching up on. And a good way to do that is to use the search feature. Again, or you could use the search feature on YouTube as well. I don't know if you know exactly how to do that, but let me see if I can pull up my channel really quickly here. There we go. Oops, hang on, let me switch back. So if you ever want to search somebody's channel, you can do that right here. Not up here, but right down here. And you just type in anything you want. Like that. Boom, right there, and boom, a whole bunch of videos on that particular topic. So that's something you guys can do if you're ever curious, again, if I've ever covered a certain thing. Yo, Dan, Squampton's OG. OG, yes, not to Squampton, though. I just came here like 10 years ago. I started Press for Truth in 2006. And so from 2006 to 2014, I was a Toronto resident living in downtown Toronto in a building called the Matrix, if you could believe that. I always wanted to tell people that, but I couldn't because I didn't want anybody to know where I live. But the building was called the Matrix. So ironically, for the first 6 years of doing Press for Truth, I lived in the Matrix, literally. Kind of funny, but anyways, let's go through some of these again, and we'll look for some more questions. And again, thank you to anybody who's contributed through the super chat. People have joined as a member, but I think the best way, if you want to contribute on a monthly reoccurring contribution, is to do so here at pressfortruth.ca/donate, because I don't know if you know that I was kicked off of Patreon. I'm sure you guys know what Patreon is, but they kicked me off. I had over 300. I think I had 330 patrons there who were contributing on a monthly basis, reoccurring monthly contributions, and then they deleted my my account, or no, actually they suspended my account and said that if I want to reinstate the account, not only do I have to remove all the stuff I said on Patreon that goes against their so-called, policies, but I'd have to remove information on my website, not even connected to Patreon, which is absolutely insane. So I ended up setting up this. You see, it says right here, Patreon alternative. And here people can sign up for $5, $10, $20, 50, whatever it is that you want to do per month. You can do so right there. And then I also have this, Subscribestar. This is my Subscribestar account. I've got 53 people subscribed here. So yeah, if you guys want to do that, that's a great place to go to. Far less likely of censoring me and canceling me that as Patreon was. But again, if you're contributing on the YouTube, I do appreciate it. Thank you. Remains to be seen, though, if I'm actually ever going to see that money. But we'll see. They just gave this channel back like a month ago, a little over a month ago, after it being terminated since 2022. I first got terminated in 2020, then they gave it back out of the blue in 2022, and then they took it away again in 2022, November of 2022, and I'm just getting it back like a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago by now. But yeah, there's a good chance it's going to go again. So guys, please subscribe to me on the other channels that I post on. Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, Minds, Hive, Bastion, Band, all of these places you could find, especially, hang on a sec, let me pull it up. If you go to pressfortruth.ca/subscribe, and yeah, there it is. I gotta make this page a little fancier. Again, I am a one-man show, guys. I do all the research, I do the editing, I do the posting, I do all of it, and I'm running the site too, so that's why this doesn't look very flashy. It's just like links. But anyways, I've got BitChute, Odyssey, Bastion, Minds, Rumble, Band, and YouTube with the little classic Simpsons meh included. But yeah, these are the places you can subscribe, and you can find that at pressfortruth.ca/subscribe. Again, guys, I really, really hope you do, because I can't tell you how frustrating it has been over these past couple of months or whatever it's been since I've been back on YouTube, to have comments like, Dan, whoa, man, haven't seen you in years. Like, whatever happened to you, man? Like, you just kind of disappeared from the movement. You just sort of fell off the face of the earth. I'm glad to see you back making content. And it's like, guys, I've been making content every single day this whole time, all through COVID. The only reason why you think I disappeared from the movement is because you're only relying on YouTube and solely relying on YouTube. YouTube terminated my channel. And so I continued daily videos ever since, obviously. I'm in this for the long haul, guys. I eat, sleep, and breathe Press for Truth. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. Like, I will continue putting out daily videos and content as much as I can. And there's a good chance that this channel is going to terminate me again. And I really hope that some of you just being like, oh man, I wonder whatever happened to that Dan guy. He disappeared again. It's like, no, YouTube censored me. That's what happened. But again, these other channels that you'll find here, BitChute, Odyssey, Bastion, Minds, Rumble, these guys, well, maybe Rumble, but the other ones are not going to censor me moving forward. Rumble, my channel is getting much bigger there, but I think Peter Thiel, for example, is a private kind of investor in the company. There's no real guarantees that they won't eventually can me as well. So beware of that. So yeah, subscribe to me. Definitely on Rumble, but more, I like Odyssey and I like BitChute. I know the owners of those sites, and BitChute in particular, Ray Vahey. He's a great guy. We talk all the time. And he has a great site, BitChute, and he's really trying his best to make it the best platform it can be, but it's literally just him. Like, he doesn't have any kind of major corporate backing or funding, and he doesn't want that. But I think he's done a really bang-up job with his platform, you know, considering what he's up against. So yeah, please subscribe to me on BitChute. All right, guys, there are a ton of comments. And we're already an hour into this live stream. My back is killing me. I'm going to continue to just look through for questions. Here's a question mark. Many good souls are locked up in mental homes, schizophrenia, or demonic interference. Excellent question, Tronix. I get into that specifically in this video right here. Must watch. They lashed out at her. You know that's not me. They lashed out at her. And even more so in this video. New footage shows people doing nothing while attacker says, I got that white girl. And in this video, I make that very exact claim that I believe it's demonic possession, which we have to chalk this up to. And I know a lot of people are going to scoff at that, but when these guys claim that it's just schizophrenia and that it's just a mental disease that they're dealing with, well, that's when it leads to people getting off for murder. That's what happened with the Greyhound bus murderer who decapitated his passenger, fellow guy sitting beside him. He said he was hearing voices in his head that he believed was God telling him to kill this man. And so guess what happened to him? Because he was able to claim that he shouldn't be criminally held responsible for this because he's mentally deranged. He got off. He got off scot-free. In fact, not only that, he was given a full discharge and he was released and he was set free. And he doesn't even have any kind of monitoring or anything. The last I heard, he's actually apparently living in the same neighborhood as the family of the guy he killed. So that's the kind of stuff that can happen when we just call things like this that we all saw there a couple of weeks ago, of this deranged lunatic murdering this poor young girl. He's going to try to claim that he's schizophrenic because he says he has these materials in his body that are controlling him. Well, no, I think it's demonic possession. Demonic possession is very, very real. And he may be an atheist or something and just figures it's got to be that the government planted some sort of device in me. That's why I'm hearing voices. That's why whatever is inside me is controlling me. No, guys, it's demonic possession, in my opinion. So yeah, thanks for the question. All right, let's move on. Going to keep scrolling through, as you can see. A lot of great comments. Thank you guys for chiming in on this live stream. But again, right now I'm just kind of looking for question marks and maybe the odd interesting comment. Extra real if you believe in Jesus, it seems. Interestingly enough, you know what? Maybe I will pull this up for a second. Just before this live stream, I got into a little bit of a debate with Adam Kokesh, the master debater, because he said something that I thought was pretty stupid. And yeah, let me show you. I didn't plan on doing this in this live stream, but let's do it. Here we go. So Kokesh said this, as you can see, 2 hours ago, just before I started the stream. Jesus was a great rabbi, clearly not the Messiah. So I had to point out, oh wow, 23 thumbs up. Looks like a lot of people agree with me. I had to say, that statement makes no sense at all. Because if he is clearly not who he claimed to be, then he's not a great rabbi. He's a con man. He's a liar and a delusional lunatic. So he is either all of those things or he is who he claimed to be, God in human form. The extreme nature of his claims demands that he is either insane or he is God. So I'm debunking his ridiculous statement here. Jesus is a great rabbi, not the Messiah. Well, if he's not the Messiah, then he's not who he claimed to be. Then he's not a great rabbi. That would mean he's a con man and a liar and a lunatic. So Kokesh replied to that. Let me see. He says, "You're assuming he's never been misquoted," with a laugh emoji face. Okay, let me address that. So I said, Jesus clearly claimed to be God. There's no mistaking that. When he said, "I and the Father are one," the Jewish religious leaders at the time picked up stones to throw at him for blasphemy. And then when he said, "Before Abraham was, I am," the name for God himself, they also picked up stones to throw at him for committing blasphemy because they knew very well exactly what he was saying and claiming. And then I said, furthermore, when the resurrected Christ appeared to his disciples, one of them, Thomas, we now called, the term doubting Thomas, Thomas was not there. A few days later, his disciples told Thomas that they saw the risen Jesus from the dead, and Thomas did not believe them. He said, "No way, unless I can put my hands in the nail prints in his hands, unless I can put my hand in his side, I won't believe it." And then a few days later, Jesus appeared to his disciples again, and Thomas was there this time. And Jesus said, "Go ahead, my dude, Put your hands in the nail holes in my hands. Put your hand in the holes in my sides. And Thomas fell down to his knees, and he cried out, "My Lord and my God." Jesus accepted that worship. And he said to him, "Because you have seen me and you have believed, because you have seen me and have believed, blessed are those who have seen and yet not believed." So by accepting that worship as Lord and God, it's even more proof of who he is claiming to be. So I don't know if he's responded to this yet. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, he hasn't responded to that. But yeah, I think I pretty clearly debunked his ridiculous statement that Jesus is a great rabbi but not the Messiah, because no, if he's claiming to be God, then he's either a lunatic madman with grand delusions of deity, or he's the truth, or he is literally God in human form. And that just so happens to be what I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that he is the truth, the way, and the life. He is God in human form. If you haven't seen this post that I recently put out, let me just quickly pull it up. I do have it pinned on my Twitter account, where I talk about all of that. So if you want to see that, go to x.com/Dan Dicks PFT, and you can look at where I talk about all of that. It's pinned there. But anyways, I'm getting way off track here. But just thought I'd share with you that little debate with Adam Kokesh, the master debater. Again, I'm just going to scroll through and look for some good comments like that one, and also some questions. Flags at half-mast for a dude 9/11 totally blown off, multifaceted. Remember the Epstein list? Yeah. Is that Richie from Boston's account? Looks like it. Yeah, this whole thing has served as a massive distraction. The fact that it happened on September 10th, like the day before the 24th anniversary of 9/11, is certainly interesting. The entire news cycle changed in a matter of hours from 9/11, truth and memorials, to Charlie Kirk assassination. So, yeah, Dan, too nice to handle comments. Okay, let me just keep going. There's a lot of comments I could see. It's going to scroll for a while here. So again, I just really want to address some of your main questions today. I think this person is still talking to other people. And again, guys, please go check out my latest video where people are slamming me in the comments for claiming I'm not for free speech or that I'm advocating for cancel culture. It's the exact opposite. I just make the point that choices come with consequences. I thought that wouldn't be hard for people to understand, but apparently it is. So, all right. Here's a question. Where are the Epstein files? Again, good question. It's, a lot of stuff is happening in the backgrounds that we're not getting access to. I did put out a video long before Trump was reselected, saying that, I think the title is "Wake Up, People, Donald Trump will not release the Epstein list if he gets selected." And look where we are today. Hate to say I told us so. Let's see. Who isn't sick of Carney's game rhetoric? Yeah, that's another selection. Obviously, that guy was placed in, as I successfully predicted at the Bilderberg conference like 2 years ago, on video. Look that one up as well, guys, where I said it looks like Carney is eyeing the position of prime minister if the Bilderberg group is going to allow it. And then a couple of years later, who do we have? Mark Carney, the Bilderberger himself, being installed, not elected, but selected. Man, I got to get a more comfortable chair for these live streams. I'm on this little bench that absolutely sucks, but next time. And also next time I'll figure out how to properly do this to all platforms, Rumble, BitChute, all of them. Good to see you, Dan. Thank you. Good to see you too. You made your own webpage? Well, I didn't design. However long ago that was, like a decade ago, maybe not, a long time ago, I hired somebody to like design the homepage and stuff like that. But yeah, I run everything on the back end. I do have a website host who helps me when I run into problems and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just me. Dan, you're rambling, man. Say something worthwhile, says, I think, Richie from Boston. I don't know how long you've been tuning into this, but yeah, we are now in the section, Richie, of the live stream where we're just randomly taking questions and comments. I said a whole lot of stuff of relevance earlier in this stream, talking about this article, and this article, and this article, and this one, and this one, and this one, and these videos, and this video, that video, this situation, this one, this one. So you catch up, my man. We're at the part of the show now where we're just having a little bit of a chat with the members in the audience. Bastion or Odyssey is the last place that will delete you. Yeah, totally. I agree. That's why I'm on there. So yeah, please go to pressrecruit.ca/subscribe, and then you will find all these places where you can subscribe to me that are, again, going to be far less likely of censoring me. Are homeless folks disappearing? I don't know, but I just read a story this morning that a 12-year-old boy was just arrested in Toronto for killing a homeless man. And he went on a crime spree where he robbed like 5 other vulnerable people within a 2-hour period. And one of them ended up in the death of a 70-year-old homeless man. So it's crazy what's going on out there, guys. 12 years old, going on a crime spree, ending in a death. Again, I just read that this morning. Crazy. Corbett report, big thumbs up for that. I would agree. Love James Corbett. He's a good close friend of mine. We've known each other for 19 years. And I've been on each other's show many, many times. Hung out in person many times. He's a great guy. Been following Dan and James Corbett since around 2011. Cool. They always existed outside of YouTube for me. And pisses me off how many people stop following when they get banned. Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And yes, all the more reason why you have to go subscribe to me elsewhere. James is all about that as well. You know, the reason why my account got reinstated is because I saw that James's account got reinstated. And so I reached out to him and I was like, James, did you just get your channel back? Like, how did that happen? And he told me privately that, yeah, I, for the first time, tried the appeal and the appeal went through. He's like, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow in a podcast. And then so that very night, I tried submitting an appeal, which I've done before, and they rejected. And then, boom, within like 24 hours, I got my channel back too. So, yeah. I'd agree. Loving James. Doesn't this Charlie Kirk murder have something to do with Noah Hyde laws? I don't know what that is. I'm not familiar with that. So I can't really comment on that, but thank you for the question. I'll look into that. Noah Hyde laws. Maybe you could tell me in the chat before we close this one out, but I'm not familiar with that. Who wrote the Bible? Says Eric N. Well, the Bible was written by over 40 different authors. It's a collection of 66 books that takes place over the period of around 3,500 years. The book of Isaiah was written 3,500 years ago. The gospel writers, you know, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were eyewitnesses. Well, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John were. Luke was new eyewitnesses, but so those were some of the people who wrote the Gospels, on where we get all the information on the historical evidence of Jesus. And again, we're talking like over 40, I think it's 44, different authors over a great span of time. A lot of people have the misconception that the Gospels by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written, 200, 300, 400 years after the fact. No, not at all. There is clear evidence that they were written in the early 1st century, like somewhere between 20 to 30 years after Jesus' death is when the Gospels were written by the eyewitnesses themselves. I mean, look, we're 24 years after 9/11, and I remember that event like every single detail of what happened that day. I could write a whole bunch of stuff from vivid memory of what happened 24 years ago with an event like that. So that's who wrote the Bible, to answer your question. There's a great deal of authors. And when you look at the amount of authors and the amount of books, 44 authors, 66 books, spanning over 3,500 years, and then you see the remarkable continuity to it, you'll have an understanding that it is indeed supernatural, that it is indeed God writing it through men. So that's a more accurate way to answer your question. God wrote the Bible through 44 different men. All right. PFT is a paid propagandist, says Print 3D. Well, I'd love to know who's paying me, because it certainly isn't anybody I know of. The only way I get money, guys, in this is that comes directly from you, the viewers. I get donations. I have people who sign up to my Subscribe Star, and people who sign up to my Patreon alternative. People who contribute on a monthly basis, and people who contribute one-time donations. That's how I make money in this. I put this stuff out for free. Every single video, 5 of my documentary films, like this one here, Into the Fire, everything goes out there for free. And then I give the option for, if you appreciate that, you can contribute. And thankfully, there's been enough people who have been contributing over the years that I have been able to continue to do this full time. This is what I do full time. It's not like I have some other job. I'm fully 100% all in on Press for Truth. And that's why it's important for people to support my work. That's why I'm sitting here on this lame stream where I can't even properly figure out how to do it on multiple platforms. Like, it was supposed to go out on Rumble too, but I'm a one-man show. It's just me. I'm not in a studio. I'm in my little apartment here. Like, there is no grand backing. There is no corporate sponsorship. And that's because I want to be able to say whatever I want to be able to say. Because believe me, I've had offers, and I've rejected a lot of big money because it would require me to either, relinquish creative control or to, hand over things to them. And nope, not going to go there, guys. So I rely 100% on stuff to come from you, the viewers. My wife provided me this information. The Noahide laws are several fundamental commandments that, according to Judaism, were given by God to Noah and are binding on all of humanity, not just the Jews. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to look a little more deeply into that, because, yeah, there's a lot to be said about, the Old Testament laws versus New Testament, because, obviously, when Jesus came into the picture, it changed everything. There were no longer laws of, making sacrifices to God and stuff. He changed all that when he offered his son Jesus, and that through him all can be saved. And so, yeah, it's interesting, the laws of Noah's days compared to, what we have to consider today. Yeah, very, very interesting. The Bible was corrupted in Rome. Ask a Druid. Well, no, I would disagree. If you actually read it and study it for yourself, you'll see. And you have to actually dive in deep and read it. Can you grab my Bible, hun, just off my bedside counter? Somebody asked something, Dicks's Bible in questions. Well, yeah, funny enough, I do have a Bible with my name inscribed on it. I'll show you. Thanks. This was gifted to me in the year 2000, 25 years ago. And you can see it's pretty worked in. On the front page, it says, "To our son, Daniel, from Mom and Dad, January 1st, 2020. The occasion, the new millennium." And then they wrote Proverbs 3:6 right there on the bottom. And Proverbs 3:6 is, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path." And I should have switched the camera over there for all of that. Yeah, that's it. That's the front. And this is the book I've been absolutely fascinated with ever since getting it. And I got a ton of Bibles. This look at this one right here, right at the ready. This is called the Evidence Study Bible. It's a fantastic Bible because it includes dozens and dozens of questions and objections that people often have, and excellent rebuttals for it. Like, here, look, what is this? God wants to keep people from having knowledge. And then he references where to look that up. And then he'll, answer these kinds of questions. Like this one here, where did all the flood water go? So these are a lot of questions that skeptics, bring up. Look, pages and pages. These are all tough questions that Christians get all the time. This was written by Ray Comfort, and the Evidence Study Bible, another fantastic book. But yeah, this is mine. This is the one I've been studying for a quarter of a century now, 25 years since I got this one. And no, when you read it as much as I have, you'll see, like, man is not smart enough to put this together when there's 44 of them over a span of 3,500 years to have the kind of continuity that is included in here. It's absolutely fascinating. This is why wars have been fought over it. This is why, it's probably the most controversial book the world has ever seen. So if you haven't actually read it for yourself, why don't you? And please just start, if you haven't, start with the Gospels, which is only 4 books of the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You'll see all these parts where I have like the pages folded in. These are all kinds of spots I find interesting, but I didn't want to use a highlighter like most people do. But Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John this is it. Here, let's do it. This is, it starts here and it ends there. That's it. This little section right here. It's not that much. And I would suggest you start with the book of John. You got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The book of John is literally like, I don't know, like this. It's like 20 pages. You could read it in like an hour and a half. So if you haven't looked into the and when you consider the Gospels, guys, you got to read it. You have to respect narrative style, and the narrative style of the Gospels is it reads like a historical document, because that's exactly what it is. We're not talking about mythology here. We're not talking about like, once upon a time, yada, yada, yada. No, it's in this time, in this place, with these people around, these things were said, and the eyewitness accounts have documented it all. And in case you didn't know, this is based on over 5,000 Greek manuscripts or pieces of manuscripts that we have today that date all the way back to the 1st century, that have it written out perfectly. So this isn't translations upon translations over hundreds of years. No. This isn't translations through different languages. No. It's from the Greek to English that we have today. And it comes right from these thousands and thousands of manuscripts that we have. So you can rest assured this is accurate historical narrative. So just read the Gospels coming from that understanding, and learn about the way Jesus lived his life, the incredible teachings that he taught, like the Sermon on the Mount. This is the stuff of ethical genius. all ethics are based on like that one Sermon on the Mount, you know, stuff that was unheard of back then, like love your enemies, turn the other cheek, all this kind of, all sorts of stuff that just blows your mind. Like it's phenomenal. And again, this is a historical narrative of the very people who were surrounded by Jesus, who witnessed this stuff firsthand. And people say, oh, there's contradictions within the Gospels. You know, one gospel says, oh, there were 2 angels at the tomb, and the other says 1. Or, oh, Judas Iscariot hung himself from a tree, and the other one says his guts were split open. And guys, these aren't contradictions when you actually look at it. What they are just different perspectives on the same event. And to be honest, if they all 4 of the Gospels were saying the exact same thing, then that would make me think that it's just plagiarism. Like they all just kind of colluded in on this and you know, wrote this stuff. But the fact that there are definitely different perspectives of the same event coming from these different authors adds to its credibility that this is a real historical document. So again, I'd encourage you to read the entire Bible, but if you're just not, you know, familiar with it, start with the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the first 4 books of the New Testament, talking about the life of Jesus, how he lived his life, how he died, and how he rose from the dead. Obviously that adds to his credibility when it comes to who he claimed to be. Because if he didn't rise from the dead, you could just reject him. You could just throw this out, you know? But the fact that he did historically rise from the dead adds to his credibility that he is who he claimed to be, God in human form. And again, one of the best gifts I could have ever received that has totally changed my life, and I hope it changes yours. All right. Let's maybe start to wrap this up, and let me just check on some of the latest comments and questions. PFD is paid right-wing fake news. Again, we already addressed that. Yeah, I'm not getting any money from anybody, guys, except for the odd person here, like somebody who gave me a $20 super chat, and the odd person who goes to my Give, Send, Go campaign right here. Look at this. 55 people have contributed so far. Here are the most recent donations. This person, $25 yesterday. This person, $95 yesterday. A couple days ago, $75. 3 days ago, $20. $20 3 days ago. 4 days ago, $15. Like this is where my money comes from, if anybody really wants to know. PFT is not a truth channel. It's a propaganda channel, just like CTV. This dude celebrates censorship, just like the left. Again, we addressed that in this. No, I do not celebrate censorship. I do not feel that those people who said those despicable things should be censored. Nobody ever said that. Nobody made that claim. I feel that they should absolutely have the right to say those things, no matter how insensitive or despicable they are. But the point is, poor choices sometimes come with bad consequences. That's just a fact of life, sir. It doesn't mean that I don't think they should be able to have that speech. That doesn't mean that I think that there should be consequences for that speech. The point of the video was that there are consequences for exercising your free speech, which you should have. But if you do it in a bad way, you might expect bad things to happen. That's just a fact of life. Every choice you make comes with consequences. Sometimes good ones, sometimes bad ones. So no, as somebody who's being censored left, right, and center, I don't censor anybody. I don't advocate for the censorship of anyone. You've got that completely wrong. Okay. Let's see. Look into it, Dan. Thank you again. Definitely thank you for bringing that to my attention. Very interesting. There are over 300 versions of the Bible. So which one is the Word of God? Well, again, you have to do your due diligence. I've come to the understanding and the realization that the New King James Version, I feel for many reasons that could take up an entire live stream on its own, is the best go-to one. But yeah, that's not the be-all and end-all. There are other versions that serve well for other people's purposes, and mine, in fact, has footnotes at the bottom here, where anytime something has been said that is slightly different from another version, it shows you down in the footnotes what the other versions have said and why it might be different. So again, if you're concerned with that, get yourself something like the Evidence Study Bible, written by Ray Comfort, where he addresses all of this stuff. All right. Not seeing any other questions. Thank you, Dan, for continuing to share the truth despite all the hate you have to endure. I will most certainly continue no matter what. Nobody's going to scare me out of this. And like I said, I eat, sleep, and breathe Press for Truth. This is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Maybe I'll close it off with reading to you exactly what I said you should go check out. Talking about that Bible I received. This book was given to me as a gift 25 years ago. It even has my name inscribed on the front cover. And every day since I received this gift, I've been fascinated by it. For thousands of years, scholars and philosophers have contemplated and analyzed many aspects of it. Wars have been and will continue to be fought over it. In fact, I'd say it's probably the most controversial book I ever know. Even this post I'm writing right now will ruffle some feathers just from the very fact that I'm mentioning it. After all these years, one thing I came to realize is that, and this is absolutely crucial, guys, in an honest pursuit of truth, all roads will eventually lead to Jesus Christ, at which point the researcher will have to decide, is he who he said he was, God in human form, who was sent here to be the Savior of the world, or isn't he? This gets back to my debate with Adam Kokesh about, if he isn't who he said he was, then he's just a lunatic madman and he should be rejected as a con man and a liar. But if he is who he said he was, then he's the truth. Then he's literally God. Well, I've come to realize that he is. Written on the inside cover is Proverbs 3:6, which is, in all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. This led me to launch Press for Truth in 2006, a name that I chose for its triple meaning. The obvious ones are press, as in press on, but also press as in the media, right? Those are some of the two meanings. But then there's the truth part. In case you didn't know, Jesus once made the extraordinary statement, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me, which I've always loved, hence choosing the name that I did. So Press for Truth, to me, has always meant press for Jesus, because he called himself the truth, as in press on towards him. That's the triple meaning. That's what Press for Truth really means to me. Press on towards Jesus, guys. That's what I want to do, and that's what I want to encourage other people to do as well. So I just thought I'd end with that, guys. Again, if you're just tuning in, here are some of the topics that we covered. The assassin Tyler Robinson's note allegedly saying I have the opportunity to take Kirk out and I'm going to take it before the assassination. We had the new information on respect to the transgender partner of this guy. The fact that the Discord is denying that their platform was used in any of this. We looked at all these people who, said that he's going to get what's coming to him tomorrow, and then the next day it happened. We talked about the Toronto Elementary School teacher who showed a video to her grade 5 and 6 students, shown a video about the Charlie Kirk killing. And of course I addressed the negative comments I've been getting in my latest video, like you already saw in this stream. Somebody claiming I'm all for censorship. just because I talk about the fact that the people who poorly exercised their free speech lost their jobs. We also showed some of these videos of the vigil, these vigils going on, this moron destroying the memorial and getting arrested, and, you know, like this guy. We talked about this article, this one, and so yeah, I think that'll do it for today, guys. Once again, I would encourage you to go to pressfortruth.ca/donate. Again, this is how I'm able to continue. So if you have yet to contribute, if you never have, please take some time to do it today. You can do e-transfers, you could do PayPal, you could sign up for a monthly recurring contribution there or there. You can contribute Bitcoin, you can send stuff to my P.O. box. You know, if you're old school and you like to use cash or checks or stuff like that, you can send that stuff there. Or you can go to this Give, Send, Go campaign. You could read the full write-up on why I'm trying to raise money. Part of that is to help, you know, protect me doing this work moving forward, because as I'm sure you've all seen, I've been attacked many, many times before, and I'm sure it's going to happen again. So 55 people have contributed so far. If you just click on this red Give link button, I should say, you'll get to this part here where you can contribute whatever your heart leads you to contribute today. So thank you so much to everybody who has contributed in the past, and thank you so much to everybody who's going to make a contribution as soon as this live stream is done. Again, I can't do this work without you. So that's all for today, guys. I want to once again thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you share this stream when it's over. Click the thumbs up button on all my videos that are coming up next. And stay tuned, guys. I'm going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth.